Hello English learners, how are you doing today? Good to see you again. My name is Michael and this is the English with Michael YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about some more vocabulary and we'll be looking at words that kind of have a historical purpose, or they once had a purpose, but now that kind of purpose has changed, but the word still exists. So these are words that reflect their history and how they used to be used. And I think this is really, really important because once you learn the context behind a word, it becomes much easier to remember. So rather than just learning a word and having it sit there alone in your brain, hoping that it will stay there, it's much better if you can make a connection to some previous knowledge that you have. In addition to being a good memory technique, when we look at the past and look at how these words used to be used, I feel like it gives you a special appreciation for them as well, just to know where they came from. So I'm hoping a few of these words will be new for you today and they will be useful. We've got phrasal verbs and nouns and other things like that. And especially some of the younger watchers, the younger audience here, might be surprised by some of these. If you're a little bit older, you might remember a lot more of these things. But yeah, let me know in the comments which of these words are new for you, and let me know which of these concepts or ideas are new for you. Maybe there's something that you never heard of before. One example of this is a lot of young people, basically most people younger than me, do not know what the save icon is. They do not know that is a floppy disk. It's not exactly a word, but this is one example of the icon continues even though the original object is now obsolete. So that's what we're going to be looking at, but instead of the icon, we're going to be looking at words. So the first one we can do is related to film, and it is the word film actually. So Americans tend to say movies. In England we tend to say film. As a verb, you can say film internationally. I filmed a video. I filmed a video. And a lot of people don't really think about this, but when you actually think about it, the film refers to the film inside the old cameras. So this picture I put on the screen here, this is the camera film. So when we're saying you film a video, this is what we're referring to. So of course now I'm filming a video, but there's no film. It's all digital these days. And when I finish filming, I will have maybe 10 minutes of footage. 10 minutes of footage. This is a really useful word, this word footage. It's a noun, and it just means the video clip. So any video that you have recorded is footage. This again is connected to the olden days. And this was another new one for me actually. I had not heard of this before. We use footage because the film was once measured in feet. Feet is a measurement we use here in the UK and other countries. So the footage of film, it's like how long is the film? How much film have you got? And we still have that word today, but generally now it just means anything that you have recorded, the footage. That's an interesting one. Moving on to cars now, a good couple of phrasal verbs is when you want to get a bit cooler or you want to stop the air coming in, you might roll up the window. Roll up the window. If it's too hot, you will roll down the window. And I think most people will know what this comes from, but maybe some younger people don't really know actually. This comes from the old type of cars where you had to roll to get the window to go up and down. I haven't had a car in a few years, so I'm not sure how common these still are. Maybe they're more common than I realise, but it's kind of unbelievable that people used to use them. It's so inconvenient. You're driving with one hand, rolling with the other hand. It's a little bit strange. Now it's all electronic, of course. Let's go and roll up the window. I'll give you a bonus word as well. Roll up can also mean to arrive somewhere in a kind of cool, stylish way. It's like I rolled up to the party at 10 o'clock. It sounds a little bit casual, a little bit kind of slang, but it's quite a common one. When you are driving along and you're trying to roll up your windows, you have to be careful not to brake too hard because you might hit your head on the dashboard. I hope that doesn't happen. But this is another one that was new for me and it kind of blew my mind. It was really cool. So the dashboard comes from the old days where we had horses and carriages. So there was a problem with these because the horses that were running and maybe the wheels would kick up a lot of mud from the ground into the driver of the cart or the carriage. So the dashboard was a piece of wood, board is another word for kind of a piece of wood, and it would protect the passengers from having mud sprayed at them. So the dashboard used to stop the mud coming up. Even today, while we've changed from horse and cart to supercars and all this kind of stuff, we still use that word dashboard. So I'll put a picture here. Dashboard is just the front area of your car where you might have your radio and all that kind of stuff, your speedometer. So hopefully now that you've learned a little bit about the history of that word dashboard, it can link onto that in your brain and it'll be much easier to remember. A lot of these words that have kind of outdated actions related to them are connected to technology and things like that, because technology changes so rapidly and the words cannot keep up. Language evolves very slowly generally. So another one, say you go to the party, you roll up to the party at 9, but it's too loud. It's just everything's too loud. So you want to turn the music down a notch. Turn it down a notch. This is a good word, turn it down a notch. Just means turn it down a little bit, lower the volume a little bit. These days, most volume adjustments are buttons, right? Button up, button down. Previously, with kind of radios and this kind of stuff, you would have a dial that you turn left or right. On the dial, it had these lines. One line we called a notch. So you turn it up a notch. Just means like one line on the knob. So it doesn't make much sense anymore, but it's still a common phrase. Turn it up a notch, please. Turn it up a little bit. Yeah, so notch these days is just the same as little bit. It doesn't really have a specific meaning, unless you do have an old-timey radio. Once you have the volume sorted on your speakers, then you might want to listen to the song again. Maybe it was a really good song and you want to hear it one more time. So you could say to your friend, the host of the party, hey, could you rewind the song, please? I want to listen again. I think this is very common in movies and TV shows as well. If you're watching on TV, oh, can you rewind it, please? So to forward wind or to rewind comes from the days of VCR, where we had tape inside these videos. And in order to play the videos, the tape would wind. And in order to go back to the beginning, you'd have to rewind the tape. Right, so I put another picture on the screen here. I think most people would know this, but again, there might be some younger viewers who don't. So if you are one of those younger ones, then let me know, and let me know if you've ever used a VCR before. That will be interesting to hear. Okay, I'll give you two more now, two more good words. The last one is really interesting, I think, so hopefully you can stay to the end and check out that one. But the next one is another one that was new for me. I found this in my research. It was really, really strange. Generally, when you're typing, you would type in lowercase letters, but maybe you should have uppercase for names and for the start of sentences. So another word for uppercase is capital letters. If you type in uppercase, it kind of looks like you're shouting maybe. But this is something I never considered before. So why do we say case? Where does that word case come from? So a long, long time ago in print shops, where they would print posters or something like that, they would have literally cases or boxes where they would keep the letters, a little bit like stamps. So when they go to print something to make let's say a poster, they would use the letters, the stamps in these cases to, make words, make sentences on the paper. This was long before the days of computers and typing and things like that. It was all done manually with ink. So as you can imagine, to be organized, to make it easy to find, they had one case for the capital letters and one case for the normal letters. And even today, after all this time, we still call it uppercase and lowercase. It's really, really fascinating. So hopefully, if you think about that case, maybe I'll put a picture here again. That will help you remember the term. So when you're typing away, don't forget to turn off caps lock and don't type in uppercase all the time. Unless you're really mad and you're shouting, but hopefully you don't shout at me. The final word I think is a really useful one, and this is the word freelance. Or you could say, I work freelance, or I am a freelancer. I'm a freelancer. This is someone who works for themselves. They kind of decide how much time they want to work. They make their own hours. They set their own prices. some kind of self-employed person, a freelancer. This word comes from the early 1800s, and the original meaning was to refer to kind of some medieval mercenary, some medieval fighter, if you like, who would basically work for whoever paid him or her the most money. So they weren't loyal to one ruler, they didn't have a boss or a king, they would just kind of go where whoever paid them the most. So that's why we have the word free in there, because they're free to do what they want, I suppose. They're not loyal to one person. So in the olden days, a freelancer was someone who would fight people and kill people, that kind of stuff, and now they're just people that work for themselves. So that meaning has changed quite a bit, and thankfully, the original meaning is a little bit outdated. I'm sure we're all pleased, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. So if you're a freelancer today, think about that history and maybe be glad that you're not doing that anymore. Okay, I think I'll leave my list there. There's a few more words similar to this, but I don't want to make the video too long. Let me know if you liked this idea. It was a little bit of a new idea I had because there's a lot of interesting words, and I think it's always better to learn a bit of context behind the word. Rather than just learning the word alone, know why we say that, where it comes from, all this kind of stuff, and it makes it much easier to remember. So I hope it was useful, and I hope there was something new for you here as well. So thank you so much for watching. As always, I really, really appreciate it. Leave a comment below if you have any requests for future videos, and I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you so much, and see you later. Bye-bye.